Every man who looked at Adaeze forgot his own wife's name. That was not love. That was not beauty. That was a curse wearing human skin. In the village of Umuoyibo, mothers locked their sons indoors when Adaeze walked past the stream. Fathers who had never raised a hand against their wives suddenly could not remember why they married them. And every night, deep in the forbidden forest behind her hut, something answered when she called. By the time the elders understood what she had done, it was already too late. The forest spirits were already awake, and they do not forgive what was stolen from them. This is her story. Stay till the end, because what the spirits did to her was worse than death. Adaeze was not born beautiful. The elders of Umuoyibo remembered her as a plain girl, quiet, often overlooked, the kind of child no one fought to marry, until the year she turned 19. That was the year she disappeared into the forest for 7 days. Her mother searched every path, every riverbank, every farm. The village drummer beat the lost child alarm until his hands bled. Then, on the 8th morning, Adaeze walked out of the trees alone. She was different. Her skin glowed like she had bathed in palm oil and moonlight. Her voice carried a new music in it, one that made men stop mid-sentence. Her eyes held something the villagers could not name, but every elder who looked into them felt a cold finger trace their spine. Within a month, 3 men who were already betrothed to other women broke off their engagements to pursue her. Within 3 months, a respected village chief left his compound at midnight, walked 7 miles in the rain, and was found kneeling outside her hut, begging for her hand like a common suitor. The women of Umuoyibo watched their husbands change. Loyal men became strangers. Devoted fathers became distracted, distant, obsessed. And every man who fell under Adaeze's spell told the same story afterward when the fog finally lifted from their minds. They said her eyes were the last normal thing about her. Everything else felt borrowed. An old woman named Mama Chinwe was the first to speak the truth aloud, and she paid for it with silence for the rest of her life. Mama Chinwe had lived through 3 generations of Umuoyibo's secrets. She recognized what Adaeze carried the moment she saw her walk past the market stalls without her feet touching the dust. She did not find beauty in that forest. Mama Chinwe warned anyone who would listen. She traded for it. The old woman explained what the elders had forgotten, what the young no longer believed. Deep in the forbidden forest lived spirits older than the village itself, guardians who granted power only in exchange for something precious. Not money, not goats, not yams. They took what could never be replaced. Adaeze had gone into that forest a plain, forgettable girl. She had knelt before a shrine hidden beneath a giant Iroko tree and made a bargain no living person should ever make. In exchange for a face that could enslave any them's heart, she promised the spirits something of equal weight. She promised them her firstborn child. Every man she seduced afterward was not followers in love. He was being harvested, drained slowly of loyalty, memory, and will, feeding a hunger that lived beneath Adaeze's glowing skin. The more men she collected, the stronger the magic in her grew. The more devoted husbands abandoned their families, the closer her debt to the forest came to being repaid. But debts to the spirits are not very simple, and the forest does not wait forever for what it is owed. The chief who had knelt in the rain for Adaeze was the one who finally broke the silence, though not by choice. His wife of 20 years had grown desperate. She visited Mama Chinwe in secret and begged for a way to free her husband's mind. The old woman gave her a single instruction: catch Adaeze on the night of the new moon, when spirits walk closest to the human world, and force her to speak the true name of what she had bargained with. The wife did not act alone. Every abandoned wife, every forgotten mother, every woman who had watched her family unravel because of Adaeze gathered in secret. On the night of the new moon, they surrounded Adaeze's hut and refused to let her leave until she confessed. Adaeze laughed at first. Then she screamed threats. Then, as the women held their ground and the moon disappeared completely from the sky, something changed in her voice. It stopped sounding human. "You don't understand," she finally whispered, her glow flickering like a dying flame. "I never controlled it. It controls me." That was when the trees outside the village began to move. Not with wind, with will. The forest spirits Adaeze had bargained with 7 years earlier had come to collect what they were owed, and they had grown tired of waiting. Vines slithered across the compound like living ropes. Voices, ancient and layered, whispered from every direction at once, speaking a language older than Umuoyibo itself. The temperature dropped so sharply that breath turned to smoke in the air. The women fled, but Adaeze could not run. The ground beneath her feet had already begun to soften, pulling at her ankles like wet earth swallowing a stone. What happened next, no villager fully agrees on, but every account ends the same way. The forest spirit did not kill Adaeze. Death would have been mercy, and mercy was never part of the bargain she made. Instead, they stripped away everything she had stolen. The glow left her skin first, draining out through her fingertips like water through cracked pottery, until her face returned to the plain, forgettable features she was born with. Then, one by one, the memories of every man she had enchanted returned to them all at once. 7 years of stolen devotion crashing back into their minds in a single night. Husbands woke beside strange women they didn't remember choosing. Fathers wept, realizing how many years they had lost with their real families. And the debt she owed, the promise of her firstborn child, the spirits collected in the cruelest way possible. They did not take a child from her. They made certain she would never have one. Adaeze was found the next morning, kneeling at the edge of the forest, alive, unharmed, but utterly hollow. The chief's wife said she looked into Adaeze's eyes and saw nothing behind them. No beauty, no cruelty, no magic. Just a woman who had traded everything meaningful in her life for 7 years of borrowed power and lost even the power in the end. She lived another 40 years in Umuoyibo, alone, ignored by the very men who once destroyed their families for her. The village children were warned never to wander into the forest after dark, and never, ever to bargain with what they could not see. Because in Umuoyibo, they still say the forest does not forget a debt, and beauty that is not earned always, always comes with a price someone else will pay. If this story kept you watching till the end, you already know there are darker tales from this forest still waiting to be told. But before you go, answer me this. If the forest spirits came to collect your debt tonight, what do you think they'd take from you? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and I might just turn your answer into the next story. Subscribe, because the next tale is even worse than this one.